Hi everyone. Now, as promised, I said I would do a series of videos on how to get the best from an ultra short throw projector. And then I thought, well, not only getting your best, but what about things to consider before you get an ultra short throw projector, and also when you've got your short throw projector, and then do's and don'ts and things I've learned along the way. So I've done a series of videos. This one is about before you buy an ultra short throw projector, what you should really consider. So let's go take a look. So the first thing, and it's an obvious thing, is basically do your research. Understand sort of what you can afford. I know this pretty much sounds very obvious, but try and afford the best one you can. It's very easy to kind of cheap out on these things, and when you do cheap out on it, and I can speak from personal experience, it never works out. You always end up really disappointed because the marketing is always far beyond what really you will get in your own living room. So to that end, do your research. Consider the sources that you're getting your research from, including yours truly, and understand what you are getting. Not all ultra short throw projectors are the same. So it's important just to do your research, understand what you're looking for and what you want from your ultra short throw projector, where you're going to be using it and how you're going to be using it. This advice that I'm giving in these series of videos is kind of more sort of general. I can't really say, the best ultra short throw projector for cinema, best ultra short throw projector for replacing a TV and so on. But there are a lot of things that you really should consider. And really the main one, there's a few, but the main one you should first look at is lumens. The more lumens, the better. Basically, the brightness of the projector. So if you can, and they tend to be, the more expensive the projector, the more brighter they tend to be. The ones that are cheaper tend to be less bright. Now you may think, well, I don't want my projector burning my eyeballs out. Well, consider this. The brighter the projector in terms of lumens, the better it is able to cope with ambient light. And we'll talk more about ambient light and replacing your sort of TV and using your ultra short throw as a TV replacement and things to consider, because ambient light becomes a key aspect of that. So always consider the amount of lumens that you're going to get. The brighter the image, the better it's going to be able to cope with ambient light. Certainly if you're going to use it as a TV replacement, where you're likely to be watching it during the day. So that's a key thing to consider. Not too bad if you're in a dark room and you're watching it at night. But also, if you're in the UK, unless you've got blinds, it doesn't, in the summer, in midsummer, it doesn't really get dark until gone 10 o'clock at night. So there is that to consider too. Certainly if you're in, sort of parts of the world that during the summer months don't get dark until much, much later. So lumens are key. And also consider the maximum projection area that you want your projector to project onto. Again, not all ultra short throw projectors will produce an enormous image. We may see sort of marketing material where the projector is quite close to the wall or the area in which we'll be projecting onto, and we'll be talking more about that. It'll give the impression that you can have it super close and you've got this huge 120 or 200 inch image. That's not necessarily true. With a lot of ultra short throw projectors, if it's very close up to the wall, it's unlikely to go huge. You're going to have to start to pull it back. For instance, the Optoma sort of P1 projector, the laser projector that I've got, you can't see it, it's behind me. I have that projected onto an ALR screen that rises up out of the floor, and that's 120 inches. And my projector is an ultra short throw projector, and it's projecting from around about, I would say, a good couple of feet from where the lens is to where the screen is. So also consider where you're going to put your projector, ultra short throw projector, because these are quite beefy bits of kit. You know, the P1 that I have below is, you know, it's a good old size and weighs a fair old bit, and it's not something, well, in general, they're more of a permanent installation rather than something that you would want to move around. And we'll get on to the reason why you wouldn't want to move it around in a moment. So the first things to consider are the lumens in terms of brightness and what you can afford. The better quality, it's going to cost you more, clearly, but don't cheap out. The projection area and the distance that ultra short throw projector needs to be from the area in which you're projecting on. Where you're going to put your projector, and consider that it's going to have to stay there to make it easier for you in the long run, and also the area in which you're going to project onto. In terms of the area in which you're going to project onto, there's a whole thing that I could go on about in terms of that in this initial video. But do not project onto your wall. I go into depth into that in the future video where I go what you will need to get the best picture quality, but do not project onto your wall. It has to be a perfectly flat, taut surface. Anything else bar from that, it's going to be bad. You're going to get a bad experience. So lumens, your projection area and the distance in which, the size of the area in which you want to project onto, where your projector is going to be, considering it has to live there pretty much permanently unless you want to keep faffing around adjusting it all the time. And then the other thing is look for a laser projector, because they will autofocus onto the area rather than you having to fanny around trying to autofocus it yourself. Now, a few other things to consider, and really not to bother yourself with too much. A lot of these projectors now have built-in speakers, and if you're spending that kind of money on an ultra short throw projector, chances are you've got a AVR system and a surround sound system. So don't really worry too much about those. They all tend to have them. It's just a thing that you pay for and don't use. So don't worry too much about those. Don't concentrate on them, and make sure you turn them off when you have them connect, when you have your AVR UST projector connected. Also, things to just don't bother with. The internal apps will be rubbish. They'll be slow. The OS will likely be very, very ropey. And but a key thing to consider is make sure that the operating system allows you to warp your image. And warping your images allows you to adjust the image to the size of your screen perfectly, so it fills the screen totally without sort of any overlap or any sort of odd anomalies that you can iron out. Now, I know I said about do not project onto a wall, and there are people that see these warping options within these projectors and thinking that they can adjust the problems or imperfections on their wall. Trust me, you won't be able to do it accurately enough to stop it from looking really very bad indeed. So those are the sort of the key things really I would point out. Lumens, afford the best you can, do your research. None of these are in order, of course. Consider where you're placing it and that it have to stay there. Look for being able to warp the image, the projected image. Don't worry about the inbuilt speakers. Try not to use them if you can. Don't bother with the inbuilt apps or anything like that. Have your source connected to it, and also consider where you're projecting onto and what size you're hoping to get from that, and how much you will need to move your projector back to get that image. So I hope this initial video has been helpful. I know I tend to be a little bit rambly. I am a little bit rambly, I will admit that. But I hope this information has given you enough to chew on until we start on to the next video, which is once you've figured out all that other stuff, the stuff we've just been talking about, then we'll talk about other things that you'll need, such as cables, screens, and sexy things like that. So, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's your opinion. It doesn't matter. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to be notified so you know when the next video is coming out, because, you know, you want to know, man. You want to know. See you next time. Thanks again, and take very good care.